Horizons Senior Youth Program, and today's cooking class is going to be a little bit of Japanese cuisine. We're going to be making sushi, some rice rolls with vegetables in them, and all fresh garden, of course. And we're going to be making some cheese wontons also. So we're going to have some fun today. So come on over and let's get cooking. Well, welcome. So now we are going to start with our sushi, and as you can see on the counter here, we have all our mise en place set up. And I just want to touch base what sushi is. It's Japanese cuisine. Sushi is, a lot of people are scared of it because they think of fish, and today we're just using vegetables and strictly from our garden, minus the avocado, but you can grow your own. But we are going to work with our nori sheets, and that's just a roasted seaweed, and that is what we're going to wrap our sushi in today. And then we have the rice, and this is important because it is every rice is different, has a different purpose for different cuisines, and this is a short grain rice. So this is what you want to use for your sushi making. And basically the package will tell you how to make it, but it's usually a 2-to-1 ratio as usual. 2 cups water, 1 cup rice, and that usually makes about 3 cups of cooked rice. So I like to use a rice maker when I'm doing my rice, and I usually use the rule of finger. And I usually put the rice in, and I use my finger. The first knuckle is where my finger touches the rice, and that's how I make my rice in my rice cooker. And this is the finished product. And another important thing with our rice, once it's cooked, you want to make sure that once it's cooled off, we season it with the rice wine vinegar. And this is a seasoned one already for you. You can buy one that's not seasoned, and you just add salt and sugar. And then you want to make sure that you cook it so that everything's dissolved, and then you just add it to your rice, and you'll see it has a nice shine to it, and a little bit of the stickiness is important for when we're rolling our sushi onto our nori sheets. And I do want to explain to you, when you are doing your rice, you want to make sure that you really rinse this, get all that starchy cloudiness out of the rice. You really want to rinse it like 3 times in cold water till you see nice clear water running. That's very important when we're making this rice because it's already sticky enough as it is. And if we didn't rinse it, it would be really gooey and it would be like glue. And we don't want that. We want nice rice. And you can see the nice shine. Plus, I gave everybody the recipe, and you'll add just enough, rice wine to how much rice that you cook. You can go small or big. This here will probably make about 4 sushi rolls because we're usually going to make about a cup per sushi roll. Okay, let's get rolling. All right, so now I just want to talk a little bit about the mat. So you'll notice that the mat is, it only kind of rolls one way. It doesn't roll this way. So that's how we say it, we roll one way. And you have to, a good thing to do is to wrap it with saran wrap, just so that the rice doesn't get stuck in between. Because when it comes time to clean, you can just take this away, throw it away, save your mat a bunch of gooiness. So we have the shiny side of the nori sheet. They're both shiny, but you'll see the one side is more shiny, and that's because it's been roasted. If you find some that aren't roasted, you can always roast them on an open fire, but save yourself all that and just buy these ones that are already roasted for you. I'm gonna go ahead and wet my fingers a little bit, and I'm just gonna grab about a good cup of rice. This is a half a cup. Place it on top here. I'm not gonna use the whole sheet because I am gonna cut about two of the lines. They're all perforated, so it's easy for rolling. And you want to make sure your fingers are wet so you can spread the rice so it just doesn't stick to you, because it is a little sticky. And we're just going to spread this evenly. And you don't want to have some spots where it's too high of rice. You want it all nice and uniform, and you want it to cover the nori sheet. You don't have to have it real thick because then when it rolls, you'll just have all this rice. So make sure you really get that spread out, just like this. Try to go to the edges. You don't have to go right close to the edges, but you can notice how I'm leaving this kind of 1.5 inches up top empty, and we'll cut that off afterwards. And don't waste it because it makes a good little snack. It's very healthy for you too. And by the way, the sushi is all vegetarian. I didn't add no meat or fish. This is all garden, all from the garden. So this one here is going to be I'm going to start off with a California style roll. And all that is the rice will be on the outside and your toppings will be on the inside of the roll. And on this particular one, once I get all this on, I'm gonna go ahead and just rinse this gooiness off. Wipe it on my little rag. I have toppings that I've already cut up, so I have mango, avocado, some cream cheese, cucumber, a bunch of peppers from the garden, and some carrots. And so I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna just add some of my sesame seeds to the outside. I like to call this the Elliott roll, the black, white, tan. The rice is me, and the sesame seeds is Mr. Elliott, and the tan is the children. This is called the Elliott sushi roll. It's my famous roll. You guys are in for a treat. But you can make your own roll your own way. So this one, we're gonna take this now, and this, because it's California style, we're gonna flip this over. And don't worry, nothing's gonna fall off. You just wanna gently press it onto your mat, just so that that rice becomes together. You don't want it to be loose when you go to cut it. So you don't want to squish it down and kill it. You just want to make sure. So you'll notice the top is empty. You can start putting your toppings right in the middle, kind of towards the bottom a little bit. And you'll see, I'll watch, I'll do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and be creative with some mango, some cucumber. And you can put these toppings, you don't want to put too much because then you won't be able to roll it. You want to make sure that it's all, you know, evenly rice, even vegetables. You don't want to have too much. Then you won't be able to roll. It'll be all vegetable. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this one just cream cheese and mango and cucumber. This one's really good. So all you wanna do when you're going to roll, use your thumb to hold the bottom, lifting up your mat, and your forefingers, you're just gonna kind of hold your vegetables in place and go up with your thumbs. And it's just like tucking the kids in at night. You're just gonna roll that over and tuck them right in there. That is your first roll, and that is really important, because that is what's gonna hold all your toppings in the middle of your sushi roll together. And I'll lift up just the mat and you'll see that first roll is done. And it's that simple. And then all you're gonna do again, just kind of lift it up, over with the mat and tuck it in again. That's our second roll. And for this, it'd probably take 3 or 4 rolls. There you go, there's the second one. So I'm gonna lift it up again, gently go over with my mat, tucking it in. And you always want to work from the middle outward, just so that it's all nice and even and tight. Not too tight so you squeeze everything out the ends, but just tight enough so that you have a nice roll. And then one more over. So you can see we did about 4 rolls. Now I'm going to show you. You'll have just a little bit excess over, and that's okay because we're going to cut that. If you wanted to completely fill up your whole nori sheet, you can. I just think it's easier to chew this in nice 2 bites. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my sharp knife and I'm gonna just peel back just a little bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut that perforated line. And now it's getting a little soft because the rice has got that vinegar on it, so it just softens up your sushi so that way it doesn't crack. So you'll see that it's kind of melted. It's still crispy on the outside, but where I've got the rice, it's kind of soft. So there you have your little California, I call it the Elliott style roll, black, white, tan. And there is our first roll. So I'm gonna let that rest. I'm gonna wrap it in saran wrap and let that rest for a minute before I cut it, and I'll go on to show you a different style of a roll. All right, so now we're gonna go on to our second roll, and this one's just gonna be the opposite of what we did already. And I just wanna show you quick, we've already wrapped it, and that's just gonna help it keep it in place. And if you don't wanna cut these right away, you can always store them in the refrigerator in a crisper, just not so, you don't want it too cold so it hardens up. You just want it to, and it will last a day. You can cut these later to, you know, to plate them. But now we're gonna go on to our second roll, and once again, I'm gonna just dip my fingers in the water, get some more rice here. And this one, I'm gonna add some vegetables to it, because after all, we grew all these vegetables, so let's utilize them. All right, same idea, spread them out. Still keeping that top empty. It's easier when your fingers are wet because you can just see that it's kind of just melting that rice wine vinegar, and it's because the rice is sticky. Now you can use a little bit of wasabi paste and kind of just smear it across for some extra flavor. I'm not a big, huge fan of that, but you can do that for your own discretion. It looks so pretty when you just make everything uniform. I think to this one I might add some avocado. What do you think, Kevin?
That works.
Why not? And speaking of avocado, you can see it's starting to oxidize a little, so I did put some lime on it. You can use lemon, whatever you want. And that just helps it not to turn brown so fast. Okay, so there you have that roll. And let's begin rolling. And this one, we don't have to flip this one. This one's already done. Well, I'm gonna add a little bit of panko for texture. So here's some panko crumbs. Gives them a nice little crunch. You can cook these in butter for a couple minutes. They go great with shrimp, but this one's just gonna give it a little panko texture. All right, so same idea, lifting up with your thumb and your forefingers. I'm gonna give it that first tuck and roll, working from the middle outward. And then we're gonna lift up. You can see there's your first little roll. You can see how I might have pushed a little hard. Your vegetables like to sneak out. Let's keep them all in there. Tuck, push outward, and I'm gonna lift up. This is my third roll. And it takes a little practice, but once you get this, get the hang of it, you'll be just rolling, sushi rolling every day. All right, last roll. And there you have it. You can see my paper's getting a little loose, but that's okay. And if your guys get out, just kind of push them back in. And there you have it. Now let's put this here, cut off this little excess. And this little pieces of rice that are sticking out will act as glue, so don't worry about it. So just give that a cut. And there you have it. And that's it. You can just take this little bit of, to make it presentable, just take that little bit of rice that's sticking out and get that right off of there. And it still acts as a glue. So that when you cut it and go to plate it, you don't have all this extra hanging out. And there you have your two rolls. So there's two different styles that you can use. And the toppings, they're endless, like I said. You can add shrimp, steak, you can add smoked salmon. So you can be creative as you want with your sushi rolls, but these ones here are just strictly vegetarian. Then we're gonna go ahead and cut them. So let me clean my knife and I'll come back and show you guys how we cut these and plate them. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and cut. And you can see that I've cleaned my knife off because you don't wanna, cut into it with all the glue stuck on there from the rice. So I basically wanna take my knife and right in the middle, you can just kind of eyeball it. Once again, fingers tucked. You wanna keep them intact. And you're just gonna cut gently down the middle. You don't wanna squish it when you're cutting. You wanna make sure that it stays just round like that. So make sure your knife is sharp. And a better thing to do is to keep it clean in between your cuts, just so you don't have all that excess rice on it. And go ahead and cut that one in the middle. So you're basically gonna start off with 4 cuts. You can see how I continue to keep my fingers tucked because I don't want you to slip up. And then I'm gonna clean it off again. Always keep a nice clean damp towel or rag. So I have 4 cuts, nice uniform. Now I'm gonna make 4 more cuts, which will give us 8 pieces to our roll. Starting with this one. You can cut the ends off if you want to, but I kind of like them. It kind of shows off what's in your sushi roll, and I'll show you that when we're plating. And there's that one. So you're basically just kind of making nice uniform cuts. I'm just gonna wipe my knife one more time. Be very careful when you're wiping this. All right, and there's the last cut. Okay, so there you have 8 nice uniform cuts. Make sure they're all cut, and that one's not. There we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and plate this. I like to start off with the 2 middle guys. Oh, stay with us. He's rolling away. Okay. And there you have your 6 pieces. And then for my ends, I like to kind of just show them off a little. Well, this guy's not the cutest. We'll just tuck him under and nobody will know until they eat it. So there you kind of have one little style of presentation. And this is our vegetable roll. And then I'll go ahead and cut this little California style that we've wrapped up. So everything's just kind of in there nice and tight. Get rid of that. Clean our knife off. And same idea with this guy. Make sure when you're cutting your seam is down onto the mat. Makes it easier. Go right in the middle with your knife. Fingers tucked. Nice cut. Okay. And you can see that the rice is not falling apart. So we did a nice tucking and rolling job on that. And that's what you want to do. Just so your rice it's not all loose and falls apart when you go to cut it. It's a little trickier with the California one, but You'll get the hang of it the more you practice with it. If the first one doesn't work out for you, the second one probably will. Practice makes, not perfect, but it just makes you better at it. I'm gonna go ahead and start here. Nice uniform cuts. And last one. Okay, and there you have that. So we're gonna go ahead and plate these guys. The sticky situation over here. But it looks so cute. And you're showing off all your ingredients, and that's what you wanna do, right? Because when it comes to sushi, it's all about presentation. Everybody loves color, and they love to see what they're about to eat. It's a little squished. Get unsquished, and there you have it. So there's your two styles already. The California style with the sesames on the outside, and then your seaweed on the outside with your vegetables on the inside. And there you have those two styles. And then we're gonna go on to show you a rice paper roll. And just in case you don't like to eat the seaweed, we have pressed rice paper that I will show you how to do that in 1 minute. Okay, so now we're gonna go on to our rice paper roll. So like I said earlier, this is a different style versus the, if you're not liking the nori sheets or the seaweed, you can use rice paper. And all it is just pressed rice. You can get these in 22 centimeters diameter. That's usually what I've been working with. They're pretty easy, but they are a little tricky. The package will tell you, leave it in water for 30 seconds, and I used hot water. I've already filled my plate, has a little lip in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drop it in there, and I like to do it just to get it nice and wet, and it already will start to soften up with that warm hot water. Yeah, use hot water, not warm. And get that nice and wet, and then we're gonna go ahead and transfer it now, because it's still pliable, and it's still a little hard, and it will soften as it sits. And that little excess water is what I want, so it doesn't stick too much. I got a little rip there. I'm gonna double this one because it's ripped, or it's cracked. Hopefully this one, I can see a little crack. If you find a little crack, don't worry about it. It's fine. You're gonna cut there anyway, so I'm just gonna double this one. This should be okay. Get that nice and wet. You can see how easy that is. If you leave it in for like 30 seconds, it's gonna be really flimsy and hard to work with. So at this point, we're good. So there you go. Just double it up, and it's easy. I can still move it, and you've already see the bottom is nice and soft. So that's what we want. So now you can go ahead and, same as sushi, start in the middle, put your toppings, whatever you want. I have a wide variety of everything here. This is my basil, this is mint, this is, I'm looking, spinach, there's the word. I have my fresh vegetables, I have some mango tofu just for some sweet flavor, and of course some radish for a little bit of heat. And I'm gonna go ahead and start with the keep calling this basil, spinach, baby spinach. Just layer this on the bottom, right in the middle. And you'll see as it rolls, you'll see that it's got a nice little color, and you'll see all the vibrant colors. Go ahead with your peppers, get some color in there. And these are so fun and healthy to eat. The kids will even eat these. If you want to get them to eat their vegetables, just make them one of these. And put a little bit of basil for some sweetness, and a little bit of mint I'm using, fresh from the garden. And I'm gonna slice it with some radishes. Once again, you can use any toppings you want. You can add shrimp to these, you can add snow peas. There's no rules when it comes to stuff like this. This is your creation. So I just chose what I had on hand and just kind of tuck those in, because we're gonna start with the first roll. So go upward from towards me, upward. And I'm just gonna give that first little tuck, and then I'm gonna tuck the sides in. And you want these to be a little tight, because you don't want them to be too loose when you go to cut them. And you can see how flimsy it is. And it's a little tricky to work with, but you know what? Have fun with it. It's kind of like making a little wrap, and that's basically what we're doing. So that little, and that's all there is to it. It's like making a cabbage roll almost. And then you see that you can, well, this one you can't really see too much your colors because we doubled it, but that's fine. And there you have it. How easy was that? Oh, I forgot to add the tofu. Next one. So let me go ahead and grab my knife, and we'll cut this one, and I'll show you the inside. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut this. This way I'm not cutting into 8 or 4. I'm just gonna cut it on a diagonal, right in half. I just wanna, and then when we go to present, you can see the inside, how nice that is. We can go a little bit more toppings if you want, a little bit tighter roll, but that's fine. And like I said, we're just gonna plate this here. And then once we make a couple more, we'll just get this plate filled up and just decor it with whatever greens that you have. You can use microgreens, you can use the not basil. You can use your little spinach, whatever lettuce you have on hand you can use to decorate your plate. Okay, so there you have our finished product of your summertime vegetable roll, if you will, using the rice paper. And like I said, this is so easy and simple to make. It's a matter of just 5 minutes to put this together, and you have a healthy snack, appetizer, kids' lunch. So enjoy. Okay, so now we're gonna go on to our cheesy wontons, and you'll find these cheese wonton wrappers in the, or not cheese, you'll find the wonton wrappers in your grocery store. They come in tubes and they're fairly cheap, and you get quite a lot, as you can see. You can freeze these, but you should defrost them and ahead of time when you're going to use them. But we bought them fresh out of the cold section in the supermarket. And here you have them. We're gonna do 6 at a time. And I've already made up my the cheese mixture, and it's just cream cheese. I've mixed in here some hot sauce, sriracha hot sauce, a little bit. I gave the recipe to you guys, but there's some salt, some sugar, and a little bit of a scallion from the garden. So there you have it. And we're gonna go ahead and just put about a teaspoon in each one of these, right in the middle. I just like to get rid of all this because it's a little messy. So I just use my finger and just kind of get it in the middle. Go ahead and fill all these guys up, and then I'll show you, we're gonna wrap them and then deep fry them. But there is a little trick using our water, or you can use an egg wash. That's why I have an egg in the recipe. This could be an egg wash, but I'm just using water. It just acts as a glue for the wontons to stay in place. A bit more for that guy. And these are so delicious. And this is another appetizer that you can enjoy with your family or friends or company for entertaining. And it's a delicious little snack. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna wet the edges. I'm gonna just use your finger. If you have a pastry brush, you can use that. I just wanna get those edges glued in. And before I go on to the next ones, I'll just show you how we do this. So I basically just take my corners and I kind of work it down. Keep that cream cheese in the middle and just make sure they all stick together. It's like a little triangle. So you can see it's like a little triangle pocket. And then what I like to do, and there's different ways you can do these, is I just like to wet this guy and this on the ends of the corners, and I just kind of tuck them in the middle. And then that's how I like my little cheese wontons. So there you have that one. And I'll go ahead and finish the rest of them, and then we'll go ahead and deep fry them. And it's that easy. Okay, so for this one, I'm gonna do a different kind of style of a roll. I just like to take up this corner and then match these corners and just, I think I'm doing this wrong, but yeah, no, this is it. So you just want to have like a little cute little pocket. Sometimes they wrap them like these. It's just a matter of matching up your 4 corners. You just want to make sure all the air is out of there and that they're all sealed so that the cheese doesn't sneak out while we're frying it. And so there's a different style. All right, so now we have our grease nice and hot and ready. I'm going to lower my basket just to get that extra grease on there so they don't stick to it too much. And just place these in gently without burning yourself. Always have an adult when you're doing this. And these are only going to take a minute to cook. And I'm just going to put the lid on these just in case our cheese does get out. Gently drop it into the hot grease and then voila, let them cook away. And you can hear them start to sizzle a little bit. And they'll take about 30 seconds to a minute to cook. Nice and golden brown is what we want. The wontons don't take much to cook. What you do just want to be careful when you're frying, just to be safe in your kitchen. You can kind of hear them sizzling. I'll let them even have a peek. As you can see them kind of cooking away. If you don't have one of these at home, you can use a heavy bottom pot with a little bit of grease in it, and just make sure grease is 350 degrees hot. And you can see them starting to turn golden brown. That's what we want. Okay. Let those cook for a minute. Oh, they're getting happy. I can hear them. Just shaking it up a little bit. I'm actually going to do a little dunk on them. I've done this plenty of times. Turn them over. Make sure they get even cooked on both sides. I didn't want to fill too much grease up. Okay. Almost there. Oh, we're losing some cheese here. Flip them back over. Sometimes this happens when you don't have a good seal, so that's a good lesson for you to learn. You might have one out of the many. You might bite into one and it might not have any cheese left in it. I'll give them another 10 seconds. Guess my grease could have been a little hotter. I lost my 350 mark there. Okay, flipping them back over. This should be good. This guy lost some. He won't flip back over. Stay. You gotta talk to your food or they won't cook properly. Gotta keep everybody happy in the kitchen. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and lift these up. They are just about done. Like that nice little golden color they are. You don't want to bite into raw dough. It's not the cutest. So go ahead and lift that and let that drain for a minute. And as you can see, there you have your cheesy wontons. I'll let these drain on some paper towels that I have out already. Get that excess grease out of there. And these are the cutest, delicious little appetizers that only took us a matter of a couple minutes to put together. And you can make a bunch of these ahead of time, and without deep frying them, you can freeze them, and then when you need to make them, you have them on hand already made, so that's something to keep in mind. We'll go ahead and plate these. Okay, so there you have. Cheesy wontons have been plated, and I put a nice sweet chili sauce with them. You can make your own dipping sauce. This one goes very well with it. There's recipes, you can find tons of recipes for your sauces. Same with our summertime rolls. The possibility of sauces for dipping sauces for these are endless. You can use a nice peanut sauce, you can use soy sauce, you can, like I said, the possibilities for sauces are endless. And of course our sushi rolls. I've made a nice sriracha mayo sauce with some soy sauce. And these are all appetizers. These are nice little, quick little appetizers that you can feed your family and friends and enjoy amongst your, your company. So thank you for today, and I hope you enjoy. Happy cooking.